Tropical Storm Melissa will become a life-threatening hurricane over the coming days, and I'm expecting this system to bring catastrophic impacts for our family down here in the Caribbean. I am quite concerned about this storm system. I typically don't say those type words, but I am very worried about what this system can do over the coming days. There'll be timestamps throughout the entire video. Jump ahead to whatever you want to hear about, but I do encourage you guys to listen to as much of the video as you can handle. I'll even have a section of the video where I kind of geek out with you guys a little bit, explain why this system could get so strong and why it's going to move so slow over the next several days or so. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below, and we are certainly praying for you folks down here in the Caribbean. So let's get going tonight. This is Tropical Storm Melissa. It is very what we call decoupled. The convection, the mid-level convections really just displaced away from the low-level circulation, which is the heart and soul of these tropical systems, and that is actually right into here. And you're probably thinking right off the dot, well, the worst of the storm's probably down here, right? Well, you'll actually be correct. Most of the stronger thunderstorm activity is displaced down here. You got some action way over here over, sections of the Dominican Republic and Hispaniola, and there is some deep convection over the actual low-level circulation, but this thing is getting blasted by westerly shear right now, so the entire western side of the system is just really struggling to have an environment of rising air. So what I'm trying to say is the structure of this storm is just not ready for any, at least even moderate pace of intensification. It continues to struggle, and we were pretty much expecting this for the next couple days if we go back to like 2 days ago. And I think this will continue to struggle through about tomorrow, and then as we get into this weekend, I think this could begin to take off. So this is the system right here. It definitely doesn't look symmetrical. It doesn't look like a neat looking structured tropical system, but this is what we're dealing with, and it looks like it's barely moving, and it is barely moving. In fact, it's going 2 miles per hour to the northwest, and there's been some conversation on social media about us really not even knowing exactly what direction this system is moving. Is it moving more so northeast, west, south? It's hard to tell because it's nearly stationary. It's just not even really moving. So this is the classic look from the National Hurricane Center that most people are used to seeing. The S stands for tropical storm. The H is a hurricane. The M stands for major hurricane. And anytime we say major hurricane, we're meaning a Category 3 or higher storm system. So you can see how the cone is just, altogether, the cone is very small. And that is because the system is going to be moving so slow over the next several days. Now, a much better way to look at this, in my opinion, is a site called Zoom Earth. And it shows us the forecast intensity as far as winds, things like that. So by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, this is forecast to intensify at about a 15 miles per hour or so to a 60 mile per hour tropical storm. By the time we get into around Saturday afternoon, 90 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. Then by 2 a.m. Sunday, it could be a major Category 3 hurricane. And then by Sunday afternoon, towards the tail end of the weekend, this is forecast to become a Category 4 hurricane. Now, I do want to note, we got hurricane watches and tropical storm warnings up for areas of Haiti and the entirety of Jamaica. This is forecast now become a mid-grade Category 4, 145 mile per hour hurricane by Monday afternoon. What's concerning to me is from Sunday 2 a.m. to Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m., it's only going to move from here to here. So there's the possibility, and just remember, this cone is not the impact cone. This is where the center of the storm could go, the actual low-level circulation, which is right here right now. Okay, it could still go way down here in the Caribbean, or it could take this route up here and kind of split the gap between Haiti, Cuba, and Jamaica. Right now, they have the center of the cone here. I could see this just going right into southeast Jamaica. We got a lot to figure out still. And Cayman Islands, you guys are in the cone where the system could go, so you're not out of the woods yet. Okay, but this is the latest. Let's go over the latest from the Euro model. This is the only kind of global model we'll go over, and then we'll go over all hurricane models. What is the Euro showing? It's done the best by far when you compare it to the GFS. The GFS is struggling with thinking that why the GFS is struggling so much, guys, is because it's trying to latch on to mid-level convection to the northeast of the system. So when it initializes, it thinks that's the low-level circulation. So it's initializing in the wrong position. Therefore, it just continues to be further north and east. So just want to get that out there if you're wondering what is up with the GFS. It has a convective bias, just a storm, more intense storm bias. But let's go over the Euro. Saturday morning, it's saying this should be around a 996 millibar low. It's as much weaker compared to what I'm going to show you with the hurricane models for Saturday morning, but we'll get to that here in a second. 996 millibar low. Jamaica's here, Cuba's here, Hispaniola's here. Okay, hopefully you can see that well. We get into, say, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. You can see as that number begins to drop, that indicates a strengthening tropical system. So this is probably a Category 1 hurricane at this point. And then we get into Sunday morning. It's a 978. That's a Category 1 or 2 hurricane south of Jamaica. And the Euro continues to just be further south and west of model guidance. And at least the operational run does. And then we get into Monday morning. This is starting to intensify into a Cat 2, Cat 3 major hurricane. And then we get into Tuesday morning. It's like the Euro almost follows the center of the National Hurricane Center cone to a T. But folks, we get into Tuesday morning and it drops this to a sub 930 millibar low. That's a high-end Category 4, maybe Category 5 hurricane if we're judging this off millibar. Okay, and this is just thrashing Jamaica. And then it makes an actual landfall into Jamaica. And it seems like model guidance has really liked kind of Tuesday into Wednesday sometimes. So we're starting to narrow down the time frame of that first landfall in Jamaica. Jamaica is the first landmass we will watch out for. Okay, and then it goes over Jamaica as we're getting to Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning. Then sometime Wednesday shows it making another landfall into eastern Cuba. And then the third landfall will happen most likely somewhere in the southern Bahamas, the Turks Caicos Islands. That's 3 landfalls between now and the next week that are likely. And then this gets kicked out into the North Atlantic where it could threaten Bermuda. And we'll talk more about that as we go. Let's go over some hurricane models. Remember, these only go out about 126 hours. We're going to start them off with Saturday morning. The HFA model likes the idea of this getting further north of the cone. So it has a hurricane right off the southwest coastline of Haiti. And then here comes Jamaica coming up on your screen. This thing starts to kind of move west. So we get into Sunday morning. It wants to bottom this out into a 918 millibar low by Sunday morning. That is definitely a Category 5 hurricane. And this is the southern shoreline of eastern Cuba. This is western Haiti. If I get my directional mixed up at any time in this video, it's not because I don't know west to east. It's just I'm talking 100 miles per hour and I don't edit these videos after the fact. But that is Jamaica. Here it comes, getting close to eastern Jamaica. And it actually dips southwest getting into Sunday night. And then we get into Monday morning. It is a Category 4 or 5 hurricane just off the southeast coastline of Jamaica. And then it potentially makes a landfall. Then Tuesday morning, it gets between Jamaica and Cuba, heads towards eastern Cuba. And this is the last frame we got for midday next Tuesday, October the 28th. And we got a hurricane heading right towards eastern Cuba. Okay, what about the HFB model? What does it show? Kind of initializing in around the same spot as the HFA model. I want to tell you, these hurricane models really like this to really take off in the next 36 hours. Has around a Category 1 or 2 hurricane already. Slowly. Look at this. This is Saturday morning. This is Sunday morning. Barely moves. Okay, and same thing. The HFB model wants to take this to a Category 5 hurricane as it heads right towards eastern Jamaica. In the same time, let's not ignore these feeder bands going right into western Haiti. Okay, this makes a landfall right into here as just a devastating hurricane. But I want you to note, this is much earlier. This is Monday. So if you live in Jamaica, I want you to keep, as early as late Sunday night all the way into early Wednesday as an open time frame of where this hurricane can make an actual landfall. But just know that you're likely going to get hurricane conditions for maybe a multi-day period. And then look, guys, this is Monday morning. This is Tuesday morning. It takes so long. And then as we're getting to Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday afternoon makes a landfall into the southern eastern shoreline of Cuba. Just nasty look. It doesn't even matter if this gets to Cat 5 or not, even if it's just a Category 3. The stalling factor of this is absolutely gut-wrenching. So we get into Saturday morning on the H Wharf model. It's already almost a Category 3 hurricane right smack in the middle of western Haiti and then eastern Jamaica. And this thing actually avoids an actual landfall. And we go all the way into Sunday afternoon, and then we get into Monday morning. And this actually splits the gap between Haiti and Jamaica and just comes up and makes a landfall into eastern Cuba. And a lot of people aren't talking about Cuba. It's wild. In the past, we've had hurricanes pass over Cuba. I think the latest one with Hurricane Ian that went right over western Cuba. It's like we didn't hear a peep from anybody in western Cuba. So it almost looks like eastern Cuba is a lock, regardless if it actually makes landfall in Jamaica or not. I mean, it's almost like we're really truly locking in a landfall in eastern Cuba. So let's not forget about that. But this goes over Cuba and just has a much more faster progression of this. I mean, it's starting to go through areas of the Turks, Caicos Islands, southern Bahamas. And by Tuesday afternoon, it is, I mean, much further away from all other model guidance at this point. HMOD model, it's about a strong tropical storm, Category 1 hurricane. And this is actually, Saturday morning. Okay, here we go. Saturday morning, HMOD, tropical storm. We get into Sunday, it's kind of jumping around everywhere, and then this rapidly intensifies into a Category 2 or 3 hurricane and avoids landfall in Jamaica. And this is a strong possibility. Then we get into Tuesday morning, and there's that almost inevitable landfall into eastern Cuba. Now, there is a chance that somehow this kind of can split. I'm going to just draw in here real quick. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome if this is, I mean, you're going to get, somebody's going to get impacts regardless, but what if this thing just comes up and does this and splits the big 3 Greater Antilles here? I mean, that would be great. I mean, you're going to get impacts regardless, but yeah. So the Grand Ensemble, I've been showing this a lot. Tomer Berg created this on his site. It's www.polarwx.com. /tropical, I believe, something like that. But it combines basically all model guidance, throws in on an output for us. All these little lines here as individual members. The black line, that is the mean. That's the average of all ensemble guidance. And you can see the mean is going, make sure this is the latest, it is. The mean is going right through Jamaica and eastern Cuba, right into the southern Bahamas, Turks, Caicos Islands. Okay, so this looks inevitable to bring significant, life-threatening, catastrophic impacts. I mean, this is... one thing I have noticed is this black line was kind of way over here in last night's video. It was going further west, which kind of opened up more of the thing is, guys, if this takes more of this path right over here, you open the door for a historically strong storm, record-breaking in strength. But you might not get as much impacts for more people if it takes that route. It's going to hit somebody, right? If it kind of takes more so this path right here, it's going to impact probably just more people in general. But it's probably not going to reach that high-end peak potential strength-wise. Maybe a Category 3 or 4 storm. Because if this system does sneak into where I just drew that arrow, even though the center of the storm might not be over land, I think the cyclonic rotation of this system, okay, is being interfered by some of the higher terrain of Jamaica, Cuba, and Hispaniola. So, anyways, moving past this, let's talk about potential impacts. So, I know people go by millimeters down here in the Greater Antilles, the Caribbean, and we got inches on your screen too here. So what you'll notice here between now and basically this weekend, you got this little notch in red. I mean, that's 12 to 16 inches of rain forecast for the southwest areas of Haiti. The orange, that is 8 to 12 inches, 200 to 300 millimeters. It's saying locally a foot of rain or more is possible. And just in general, the entire... And remember, this only goes out to a certain time. Okay, so this isn't the entirety time frame forecast. Okay, but a ton of rain over. I mean, we're going to be measuring in feet for a lot of these areas. Okay, so that's forecast rainfall between now and about the evening. Between now and about the 26th. Okay, this is the reasonable best case. This is the best shot right now at the timeline I'm sorry, this is the percent chance, getting a little clustered minded here. This is the percent chance to see tropical storm force winds between now and the next 5 days. And if you're wondering what these colors are, if you look down here, you're pretty much, guys, you're pretty much a lock. I mean, let's just say it. I mean, we can look at this until the cows come home, but the entire island of Jamaica is going to see tropical storm force conditions at minimum. At minimum. And you're going to see it also in Haiti, and you're going to see it in Cuba, and eventually into the Turks, Caicos Islands, Bahamas also. But this is between now and the next 5 days. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, 5 days. This is the timeline for that. Okay, pause the screen if you need to. I mean, they even got portions of southern Florida into this. I want to show you this, and I want you to, when you see this, you know, don't 100% believe this is exactly what's going to happen. And we're getting close enough that we can show you a little bit of some individual model runs like this, but this is what the Euro showed on the run earlier this afternoon as far as forecast max wind gust. And I wouldn't say forecast, but it's what the model output shows. And it's in knots. So it has an area of 100 to 130 knot max wind gusts going through Jamaica into eastern Cuba, all the way into areas of the Bahamas and portions of the Turks, Caicos Islands. 100 to 130 knot plus maximum wind gust through these areas. You convert that to miles per hour, it's anywhere from 115 to 150 mile per hour wind gust being possible. Whoever sees the core of the system will have a good shot to see this. But the thing is we don't know if the core of the system is going to go up through here or if it's going to do what the Euro's showing or some other type of solution. But whoever gets the true core of the system, the eye wall, infamous eye wall, will see the worst of the winds. And that's why I haven't talked a ton on winds or impacts, because we got to lock in the track. So why is this moving so slow? Okay, this gets a little tricky to explain, but we're going to do our best at it. All right, so we got a high pressure right here, okay, and the flow around this high pressure, and this is for about right now, what the Euro ensemble is thinking for right now. The flow around this high pressure is going like this, okay. We got a trough up here over areas of the North Atlantic and the lower 48, and the flow at the bottom edge of this trough is going like this. And you can see, for example, I'm going to circle, you know, this wind barb right here. See how this flag portion is facing that way? That means the flow is coming out of that direction. Those are wind barbs, okay? And then we have a ridge right here. And you can see the center of the ridge by the way that the wind barbs are tilted. And the flow around this ridge is going like this, okay? This blob of yellowish orange, that is Melissa. It's sandwiched in between vigorous flow up here, flow around this high pressure, and flow around this high pressure. And these two flows on this side and this side around these high pressures are kind of working against each other, right? They're contradicting one another. So, I mean, they're basically, you're not getting two flows working in tandem. So we got flow pushing up against the system right here, and we got flow pushing down the system right here. So here's Melissa just kind of not knowing which way to go, and that's why it's moving at about 2 miles per hour, because we got flow coming here, flow coming here. The system's like, you know, chilling right in the middle, doesn't know what to do. And you mix that with the fact that the steering currents where Melissa is right now are just weak in general, because, I mean, this high pressure is positioned kind of way over here. It's weak. This one's a little bit stronger, but it's further away. The system itself is moving, a little bit further away from this high pressure, and it's way too far away from this. So as we move forward here, the little bit of flow working around this high pressure here is actually going to try to maybe nudge this a little bit to the north. And you can see how this ball of energy, being Melissa, kind of gets nudged to the north a little bit. But eventually it moves completely away from this, and it's not being impacted by it. And then all of a sudden, the ridge that's over like Central America and Mexico kind of gets elongated and kind of strung out like this. So now the ridge is like this. So now the flow's coming around this, and it's coming like that. And it's actually trying to push our system, at least yank it a little bit further west, but even potentially further southwest. And that's why some model guides has it kind of, especially like a day or so ago, has it kind of dipping a little bit deeper into the Caribbean and south of Jamaica, I would just add. Okay, now as we move forward here in time, that ridge influence goes away. You can see how it kind of backs off, and at the same time, Melissa becomes much stronger. And there's a trough. The trough sort of digs down a little bit more also, and now Melissa is going to start to feel the rapid flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere up here. So then it's going to start to move on away. And at this point, the system is very strong, and it's wanting to gain latitude anyways, and then it gets picked up and slung out into the North Atlantic. Why could this system, and I hope that made sense. If you got any questions, put it in the comments. I'll do my best to explain it. Why is this system going to become a powerful hurricane, whether it's a category 3 or 5? Well, right now, you might ask, well, why is the system struggling so much right now? Well, this is flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Above the system, I mean, like 35, 40,000 feet up in the air. You got flow kind of going like this, and if you look right here, you can see these lines with these arrows embedded into them. This is kind of working up against especially the northwest and western areas of Melissa, which is where your L is. And don't focus on the number where the L, just look at the L. That is where this ensemble run, well, actually, this is the operational run. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, the operational run is saying where Melissa is going to be. Well, it's saying where it is right now. Okay, so this flow working up against the system is creating wind shear. And I mean, folks, you can see it pretty well if you look at the satellite. And the sun is beginning to set on Melissa, so you're going to see a change here. But if you look right here, you can see the lower level clouds. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. The lower level clouds are kind of circulating like this. Okay? Our low level circulation is like right in here. Underneath this blow up of mid-level convection, you got some mid-level convection down here, mid-level convection up here. Okay? But the actual low level circulation is spinning cyclonically. I want you to put your focus in this area right here. You see how you got some thunderstorms and shower activity that kind of form, and then you can see like almost looks like puffs of smoke kind of going like this. You can see it very well right here closer to Central America. That is the wind shear ripping off the tops of these thunderstorms. That is our wind shear reflected on the model guidance right now, and it's hitting this side of the storm very hard right now. That's why it's so decoupled. And if you look right here, there's a ton of clouds and thunderstorm activity being dispersed out away. And you might say, well, what's causing that? Well, if you flip it back to this, it shows it well in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Look at all the air being dispersed out away from the storm. And that is because you have a lot of divergence aloft on the northern and really the entire eastern side of the storm, allowing for an environment in this entire area for a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. But in this area, it's getting blasted by wind shear. So what changes over the next couple of days? As you move into the next couple of days, I really think this system will continue to deal with some wind shear. The western side of the system will continue to get hit. But I think the upper wind pattern will improve. And I think with that ridge kind of nosing on top of the system that could yank it a little bit south, I think this causes a lot of divergence aloft. So now we're working with a lot of flow expanding out away from the system like this, like that. Still some flow working up against the system right here. But just symmetrically speaking, there's more flow expanding out away from the system aloft than there is right now, I should say. So therefore, that millibar begins to drop. The system begins to develop an inner core. When it develops an inner core, it can really begin to rapidly intensify. The inner core is a core of moisture that protects it from any dry air that's trying to come in from the wind shear, eating up all the convection on whatever side of the storm it may be. With this system, it's the western side. So the environment dramatically improves, and we have a lot of just disbursement of air, divergence aloft. And this system, at the same time, also just enters an environment that even though we got some shear working up against the system, I want you to look how it's kind of working against the system and then abruptly stops and goes like this. That is the system, in my opinion. I like to say this a lot. It's almost creating its own environment. It becomes so strong. The cyclonic rotation of the system becomes so high, so aloft, that it doesn't matter what the almost upper level winds are doing in a way, because the system is so tall and creating its own environment. Sorry, just geeking out a little bit. That's what happens with these tropical systems. So you can see as we're waking up tomorrow morning, you see the brown, that's dry air. The green is moist air. So there's a lot of brown, almost said brown air, almost said it. There's a lot of dry air up close and personal to the western side of Melissa. There's a lot of moist air, green air. I keep doing that because I've said that multiple times in a video covering the tropics before. A lot of moist air on the eastern side of the system. Dry air on west, moist air on the east. But as you move here in time, this system is able to thrive in a lot of low wind shear. It develops that inner core, protects itself, cocoons itself with a ton of moisture, and it develops an environment for a lot of rising air. Rising air allows for shower and thunderstorm activity. And as this air rises, it gets dispersed out away because of what we're seeing with this, the dispersion of air pushing out away from the system like this. So as air comes up through the system, it gets blown away aloft. This allows for more air to rise, and it's just a continuous cycle. Rising air, convection, shower, and storm activity. Shower and storm activity is moist air. Tropical systems like moist air. Hope that makes sense. Now, moving on up the road in time here. What's the latest on this potentially affecting New England, Atlantic Canada? Well, model guidance is really, in a way, at least operational runs went away from it. So we go all the way out into Halloween, October the 31st. The Euro has Melissa jolting across the North Atlantic and getting very close, if not impacting Newfoundland on this specific run. And, you know, there's not a whole lot to go into this with. What I'll tell you is the Google DeepMind model guidance here continues to show and have a window open for an opportunity for some landfalling scenarios into this region right here. But most of them do kind of, go like this or like this. But I mean, even watch these. There's a lot of clustering of members right into here. So we're not out the woods for New England and definitely not out the woods for Newfoundland, Atlantic Canada, and folks up there either. So we need to continue to watch it for that. Now, that's all I got, guys. I don't think there's any new updates that I want to catch on the fly. We'll have another update here in about 30, 45 minutes. But thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all trusting me. Thank you for all the kind comments. I do want to note, and I'll put this in a community post, I'll have a video very early in the morning, but I want to have a video tomorrow night, and I will not have a video Saturday morning, and I'll get right back to it Saturday evening. So technically, I will not miss a day of videos, but tomorrow and Saturday, there will only be one video each. Tomorrow morning, I'm leaving with my wife for the night, kind of taking a date night and going to Asheville, North Carolina. And we're just going to go check out the last bit of the fall foliage in North Carolina mountains that is left. So definitely asking for prayers for safe travels with that. But looking forward to that. But I will have you a morning video really, really early tomorrow morning. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful evening.